everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kat, and to my returning curious kitties, welcome back. This is a space where we look at the unexplainable, the strange, and the mysteries of the world with an open mind and no judgment. These are allegedly true stories that have not been confirmed. I am sharing them solely for entertainment purposes. So go ahead, grab your drink or snack of choice, settle in, and let's get curious. Alright, my curious kitties, this first story is actually a wild Airbnb experience from a Reddit user named EntertainmentLow7036. Now this user mentions they've always had a strange intuitive gut feeling when it comes to the paranormal. Their mom, on the other hand, a total skeptic, but by the end of this trip, even mom couldn't deny what was happening. Back in mid-2022, they planned a 5-day family trip to Florida for some Disney World fun. It was a cozy group, them, their mom, their aunt, and their cousin, all staying in a small, charming Airbnb. The first day was totally normal, but on the second night, things started getting weird. Around 11 p.m., they were lying in bed thinking they were the last ones awake. Just as they were drifting off, they heard someone pressing the buttons on the kitchen microwave. That distinct digital beep, beep, beep. They assumed their cousin was heating up some late night leftovers, but they noticed the microwave fan never actually kicked on, just the endless beeping of the buttons. Eventually, they fell asleep. The next morning, on the drive to Disney, they casually asked who was messing with the microwave. Everyone looked at them blankly. Nobody had left their room. But then the cousin piped up and said she had actually heard the exact same constant, annoying beeping from her room too. That night, things escalated. By 10 p.m., the user started hearing a faint knocking on the wall right beside their bed. They tried to write it off as neighbors, but when they turned off the lights to go to sleep, a glowing white orb slowly floated out of the corner of the doorway, hovered in the middle of the room, and then darted right back to where it came from. Terrified, they flipped the lights back on. Instantly, the knocking started up again, but this time it was coming from the wall connected to the bathroom, not the neighbors. For 4 hours until 2 a.m., the knocking bounced between the walls, accompanied by a frantic beeping of the microwave. The next day, they tried to tell the family, but everyone, including their mom, just brushed it off as an overactive imagination. But by night 4, the aunt and cousin had left the Airbnb early for a volleyball tournament, leaving just the user and their mom alone in the house. Around 8 p.m., the faint knocking started behind the bed again. Feeling incredibly uneasy, they went to sit in their mom's room. And guys, that's when the skeptic mom finally heard it. The knocking started coming from the bathroom, loud and clear. Within minutes, the sound began echoing faintly from every single room in the house all at once. The user said they got the worst gut feeling of absolute dread they'd ever experienced. The breaking point came when a heavy bottle in one of the empty vacant bedrooms was violently thrown, shattering the silence with a loud crash across the house. Instantly, the knocking became deafening, pounding from every wall like something out of an exorcism movie. That was it. They decided to pack their bags and get a hotel. As the user was dragging their duffel bag through the living room, they heard heavy, frantic footsteps stomping right on their heels. In pure panic, they grabbed their bag and yelled, "Okay, we're leaving!" And in a split second, dead silence. The knocking stopped, the heavy dread vanished, and they ran out of the door to a hotel, never looking back. Now, this next story moves away from the paranormal and into a real-life mystery that will honestly make you double-check your locks tonight. This comes from a first-time Reddit poster, Plenty-Ocelot-7298, and it happened at their very first apartment. Our poster and their fiance had just moved into a new apartment about a month prior. It was tucked away at the very, very back of a complicated building. Definitely not a place you'd stumble into by accident. One night around 9:30 p.m., they were sitting on the couch watching a movie when suddenly they heard someone trying to open their front door. It sounded like someone was desperately trying to force a key into the lock, followed by 4 or 5 heavy knocks. Startled, the poster crept up and looked through the peephole. Nobody was there, but they noticed a pile of bags sitting on the ground outside. They peered out the window and saw a woman sitting on the stairs, heavily engrossed in a phone call. She had several large duffel bags with her, looking like she was either arriving from a long vacation or planning to stay the night. After about 5 minutes, wanting to make sure she was okay, the poster stepped out onto their nearby balcony and asked if she needed help. The woman held up a finger, giving them the "hold on, I'm on the phone" gesture. When she hung up, the poster asked again if she needed help. The woman claimed her friend lived in this apartment and she was there to see her. The poster gently explained that she must have the wrong unit, but the woman kept pushing, insisting she had actually been at this exact apartment with her friend just yesterday. But guys, the poster and their fiancé had been home all day yesterday, and absolutely no one had visited. The woman then gave a name and described her friend as a tall, dark-skinned woman, someone the poster had never met or seen in the complex. Finally, the woman claimed she didn't have her phone and asked if she could use the poster's phone to log into her Instagram. Sensing a massive red flag, the poster lied and said that they didn't have Instagram, but offered to call someone for her. At that point, the woman shut down, grabbed her things, and walked away, complaining that she had nowhere to go. Uncomfortable, the poster went back inside and watched through the window. To their horror, the woman was suddenly back on a phone, pacing back and forth, staring directly at their apartment. Right then, the fiancé noticed a strange car parked nearby with its headlights completely turned off. To test a theory, they turned off all the lights inside their apartment. The moment they did this, the strange car turned off its running lights too. A man got out of the car, stood in the dark staring at the building for a few minutes, and then got back in. Terrified, they called the police non-emergency line. When the police officers arrived, they took the situation incredibly seriously. The suspicious car sped off, but the real chill came a few minutes later when the neighbors came out to help. They checked their Ring camera footage and showed it to the poster. It turned out the woman's large, stuffed duffel bags were completely empty. She had been using them as a prop to look like a stranded traveler. It was a setup, and we can only be incredibly thankful that they kept that door locked and called for help. This next one takes us back to the late 1990s, back when kids would wander the neighborhood for hours with only one rule: be home before the streetlights come on. This comes from Worth_Biscotti_5070, and it's a chilling reminder of how close calls can happen in the blink of an eye. Our poster was about 10 or 12 years old, living in a quiet, secluded neighborhood at the very end of a 2-lane road. It was a dead end, meaning you only drove down there if you actually lived there. One summer afternoon, they were wandering the back streets alone, looking for friends. As they walked, a faded, puke green car crawled slowly past. Inside was an elderly man and woman, both thin with graying hair. Because they knew every car in the neighborhood, the poster immediately flagged them as strangers, but assumed they were just visitors looking for a house. But a minute later, the green car rounded the corner again, crawling up behind them even slower this time. Instantly, their stomach tightened. Remembering stranger danger, they stepped off the road into the tall ditch grass, making it obvious they saw the car. The car pulled up and stopped right beside them. The man rolled down his window and asked for directions. The poster's ears were ringing with adrenaline, but they politely started giving directions. Then, the elderly woman said something from the passenger seat, but her voice was too muffled to understand. The man smiled warmly and said, "Why don't you come a little closer so that you can hear her?" Every alarm bell in the poster's body went off. They took a hesitant step closer, but stayed firmly in the grass. When they tried to explain the directions again, the man delivered the line that made their blood run cold. Why don't you just get in and show us? I'm sure it isn't far." The poster bravely used the classic 90s defense. "My daddy told me I can't get in the car with strangers." The man nodded and said, "I understand," and then immediately opened his car door to step out. Realizing they were completely alone on a quiet back street, the poster had a stroke of pure genius. Instead of running forward past the car, they turned on their heels and sprinted backward, running behind the car. They figured if the man wanted to chase them in the vehicle, he'd have to awkwardly throw it in reverse, which would look highly suspicious to anyone looking out a window. The man hesitated, got back in, and drove forward around the corner instead. The second he did, the poster ran like the wind, cutting through shortcuts and peeking around corners until they burst through their front door, red-faced and gasping for air. They made up an excuse to their parents, but the real horror happened later that evening. For hours, the poster stood peeking through their bedroom blinds, watching that same faded green car slowly circle their neighborhood block, over and over and over again, looking for the kid who got away. Our final story tonight is a slow burn mystery from Reddit user bright-writer-3220. It takes place when they were 19, living completely alone in their very first apartment in a small beach town. And guys, this one has a twist at the very end that left me completely unnerved. Because it was a beach town in the dead of summer, the apartment didn't have air conditioning. Like everyone else in the building, they kept their sliding glass balcony door cracked open every evening to catch the cool ocean breeze. It felt perfectly safe at the time. Then came a Tuesday night. 3 sharp, heavy knocks rattled the front door. They checked the peephole, but the outdoor hallway was completely empty. The next night, at the exact same time, it happened again. 3 knocks, nobody there. By the 3rd and 4th night of this happening, like clockwork, they started keeping all the lights off, hoping the mystery visitor would think they were not home. On the 5th night, they were sitting in the dark, watching TV with the balcony door cracked open behind them. Suddenly, bang, bang, bang! The knocks were so violent, they rattled the door frame. They muted the TV. Total silence. Then, a second barrage of desperate, furious pounding shook the entire door. And then, a man's voice boomed through the thin wood. "I know you're in there. I saw you. Open the door." The poster froze in absolute terror. They didn't know a single soul in this city, yet this stranger was entirely certain that they were inside. "Stop hiding," he screamed, followed by one last violent kick to the door. And then, dead silence. No footsteps walking down the stairs, just quiet. They sat frozen on the couch, and then they heard it. The soft, deliberate sound of footsteps, but they weren't coming from the hallway. They were coming from outside. In a wave of pure horror, the poster looked back at the sliding glass balcony door. It was cracked open, just enough for a hand to slip in. Just enough to hear everything inside. They looked down over the balcony and they saw a dark figure standing in the parking lot below, staring straight up at their open door. Terrified, they dropped to the floor, crawling below the window line to hide. That's when a soft, chilling whisper drifted through the open slider from the darkness. "I can hear you." The voice wasn't coming from the parking lot anymore. It was right outside the screen. At some point while they were hiding, the man had quietly climbed up the balcony. Adrenaline took over. The poster scrambled to their feet, slammed the sliding door shut, locked it, and dropped a security bar into the track. The figure stepped out of the shadows, pressed a hand against the glass, and just stared. This user locked themselves in the bathroom and called 911. By the time the police arrived, the balcony was empty and the man was gone. Terrified for their safety, they packed up and moved out of the apartment a week later, eventually letting the memory fade over the next 10 years. But a decade later, they were cleaning out an old box of files from that apartment. At the bottom was a routine maintenance notice that had been slipped under their door just days before they moved out. They turned it over, and there, written in faded pencil, in a handwriting they didn't recognize, were 4 words. "I finally saw you." He was never trying to find the apartment. He had already found it. He was just waiting for her. That brings us to the end of our stories for tonight. If you've had your own true paranormal or non-paranormal creepy experiences, I would absolutely love to hear them. You can send them over to me at curiouscatstories@gmail.com. That's curiouscatstories@gmail.com. Please let me know in your email if you would prefer to remain completely anonymous, or if there is a specific fake name you'd like me to use if I share your story on the channel. This is a safe space, and your comfort is always a top priority here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and listening. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. It really helps our cozy little corner of the internet grow. Let me know down in the comments which of tonight's mysteries gave you the biggest chills, or leave your own experience in the comments. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, and to all my curious kitties, stay curious. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.